Oh, what is up, guys, and welcome to the Meeple Minded podcast, the podcast where we talk all things tabletop gaming. My name is 2023 Jason.
And my name is 2023 James.
How are you doing, 2023 James?
I'm good. Can we drop that?
I think we can, yeah.
I'm good, Jason. I'm good.
Good. Can you believe we're back? It's another year.
Yep.
It's another year, 2023.
Yep.
Wow. Have you had a good festive season and New Year?
Yeah, it's been all right.
Been up to much?
No.
No.
We played some games.
I mean, I know, rarity, right?
I know. We had some time off, and what did we do? We played some games.
We did indeed. We actually played quite a few, which is really impressive. But did you, I mean, I know you're working a bit between Christmas and New Year. I obviously have my son
Yep.
for the duration.
Yeah, I mean, considering I work in a retail-based industry, I got very lucky with the way my shifts fell. I think I only worked 3 days over the festive period,
bonus.
which is just unheard of.
Yeah. I thought you had quite a bit of time off, considering you work in retail.
The combination of days we don't deliver and my days off just fell perfectly.
Bonus.
So, that's not going to happen again for about 6 or 7 years.
I was going to say, that's another one of those things of you couldn't do that if you tried.
No.
So what you got to do now, James, is, because it's never going to happen there again, is it? So
No.
now you've got to find a new job
Where that happens
where
again.
that happens again. So that would be really, really good. But yeah, did you get all the things you wanted for Christmas? Were your family generous to you this year, or were you a naughty boy?
They attempted it because I have a nasty habit of impulse buying what I want. So when Christmas rocks around and people go, "What do you want for Christmas?" I'm like,
everything I've already got.
I don't know. So bless them, they tried.
Ah, good. It's the thought that counts.
It is the thought that counts, and considering that I was maddeningly unhelpful with, I don't know.
I know at least someone tried to get you like Steam vouchers, because obviously you're quite a big PC gamer.
Yeah, and they don't do them anymore.
Yeah. So that's
the one thing where I actually went, oh!
Yeah. And you were still just as unhelpful by suggesting something that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. It's not my fault. Look, I came up with the idea, all right? It's not my fault that the idea doesn't actually exist.
Exactly. You did the right thing. You did what they asked you to do. The fact that it doesn't exist anymore is not your fault.
No.
Now the ball is now in their court to go and actually think of something.
Yep.
So yeah, brilliant. I had my little one over the Christmas period, which was really, really good. He had a great time because obviously, let's be honest, Christmas is all about, well, it's for the kids, isn't it, really? He was very happy with the presents that I got him, and which was really good because I actually got him quite a few Lego sets because he's really got into like the Harry Potter Lego set. So I had great fun for 7 hours building a goddamn Hogwarts castle.
Yeah. Because
while he loves Lego, he's not quite capable of building fully to the instructions. He does really well for about 20 pages and then gets really disheartened and passes it to me to do.
Yeah. So. I have actually just thought, I did ask for something. I haven't technically got it yet because of the big lead time it had, but I did ask for something and I do know it's on the way, which is a full set of battle foam for my 720 for the Horus Heresy box set.
Oh, yes. So you're finally going to get that in the... in its protection.
Unfortunately, the UK warehouse was out of stock, so my parents had no choice but to order it from the US website, and it quite clearly states on the website, if that's the case, it's like you're looking at 5 to 6 weeks shipping. So the sort of like, my dad came to me and said, "Look, I've ordered it, but it's not going to be here for Christmas." I was like, "Don't worry about it. I know. I know the lead time on those things, but like you said, it's the thought that counts. Thank you very much."
Yeah, I had something similar with my partner. She's recently got the latest edition of Hero Quest. It's a game that she loves.
Yeah.
It doesn't get to play it that often. And now she's bought her own version of it in the hope that she can now build and paint the models. Although I think they're pre-built models in this one. But she definitely wants to paint the models. But obviously, while we haven't talked about it on the podcast so much, we've both seen the box insert that comes with the new Hero Quest. And by rights, it's really good for shipping. But if you do anything other than leave it in the box, it's pretty useless because it grips the minis quite harshly.
Yep.
So I've gone ahead and bought her the full Feldir foam for that, and that actually arrived a couple of days ago, in fact. So she didn't have that to unwrap at Christmas, but I did the right thing. I got a couple of bottles of wine that she likes, so...
Win.
She loves it.
Yep. So I am very much looking forward to that turning up so that they can get in there properly secure, safe storage.
Nice.
And it's for the I think I've got a couple of extra spaces in there because it's one of their bundles where it's basically the starter box plus a couple of other stuff, but it fills the 720.
That's good. So hopefully we'll start seeing some of those models.
Indeed. Kiri will be very happy because now I can actually give them to her to paint.
Yes, get that wallet ready because she's going to charge you a fortune for that.
Yep.
The weird thing is, James, this was probably the first Christmas where I didn't actually get that much in gaming-related stuff.
Yep.
One of the things I got is actually on the table with us at the moment, which is the Unmatched Jurassic Park. This is my first game that I own from the Unmatched series. It's not going to be the last. There's a little spoiler for when we eventually get around to doing that episode. But yeah, Unmatched Jurassic Park. It's a little 2-player game. Really good fun. Played this version for the first time last night with our good friend Ant from the MTVB podcast. That was really good. So, James, normally at this point in the podcast, we will talk about a game that we played this time last year.
Yep.
That we did a game highlight / review on. More on that later.
Yep.
But as it happens, this time last year, we didn't do a game highlight because when we were due to record this time last year, I was ill and I had to do it on my own. So yeah, we didn't end up doing one. So yeah, at least this year you're here for the first one.
We are.
Which is marvellous indeed. So yeah, there we go. We won't be doing the game we played last year. So I think really we can move on to what is going to be it's a kind of a topical discussion, I guess, today, but we're not really going to call it a topical. This is more of a sort of what's been going on, what's going to be happening sort of episode. And let's start by sort of kicking ourselves into up the backside, really, and really talk about, one, what we personally want to do with the podcast this year.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I guess we can tell people the little discussion that we have been having with regards to the game highlight episodes.
Yeah. So
let's start off, James. What do you personally want to do with the show this year?
So, well, what do I want to do with the podcast, Jason?
It's a bit of a horrible question to just drop on you without any kind of warning.
It is. I mean, part of me wants to turn around and say make a boatload of money and retire early, but that ain't going to happen, is it?
Well, I mean, that would involve us having to get paid to do this, James, which we don't do. And
okay, new goal for this year, Jason. Get paid to do this.
Well, as lovely as it would be.
Yeah, no, all joking aside, more of the same, I think. I just want to play games, come here and talk about them.
Have a good excuse to play more games.
Yeah. It'd be nice to do a convention episode, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're planning on doing UKGE this year and actually doing a live episode would be cool, that kind of thing. That's something new for us.
Yeah, I mean, UK Games Expo is definitely something I want to do. Obviously, myself and Paul have done UK Games Expo, I guess, review episodes the past couple of years.
Yeah.
This year, it'd be nice to actually maybe take some of the gear with me.
Yep.
Like I said, for the hotel room, and we actually do it maybe on a day-by-day basis.
Yeah, or a live interviews, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's a new territory for us, so that would be cool.
Yeah, that would involve me doing a lot of pre-arranging work. I might do that. We'll see. I'm very forgetful, so maybe that'll happen, maybe it won't. Who knows? But that will be pretty cool.
Look, I've seen people do live interviews before. We all know the best technique is to walk straight up to the stall and surprise them by shoving a mic in their face.
I am person from this.
Yeah.
Talk. Spill the beans. Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
No, just poke them with a large stick and go on, spill.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I want to do this year really is now that I'm recording all my gameplays, and I know that you are talking about doing that yourself.
Yes, I would need you to point me in the direction and how to set that up, because I do want to do that.
Yes, I will do that probably after we finish this. Yeah, for me, I want to just play literally as many games as I can. If I can hit as many new games as I possibly can, that'd be great as well. I just want to get those stats a lot higher than what they have been in previous years. Like, they've never been really, really low. Obviously, last year was my first year of actually logging stuff. But as the first full year of logging my plays, I want to try and get them as high as possible. We're sort of 5 days into January on the day of recording, and I'm currently sat at 8 games played. So I'm currently more than 1 per day average, which is great. We'll try and keep it that way. But right, let's get on to what really caused this episode, James, because we had a few discussions over the Christmas period, and even before that, if I'm being completely honest, because we've been having a think about our game highlights episodes, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
And the thoughts that we've kind of been having, and we were sort of getting local people's feedback on it as well. We've never called our game highlight episodes game reviews.
No.
And there was a reason for that, and that's because I didn't want to do reviews. But what I'm concerned about with how we were doing it is they had kind of morphed into a full-blown review, you know, especially when we started installing the Meeple ratings, you know, we were actually putting a number out of 10 on these games. And while I did enjoy doing that, it brought about some complications, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing we were talking about, what's sort of spurred on this discussion, was how many games did we review where we both felt, or we also felt that the Meeple rating as it wasn't up to scratch, because it was, the gameplay on this is amazing, but the quality's not good. So
or vice versa.
Yeah, it's like people should definitely play this game, but I'm not necessarily sure they should buy it.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. And it's like, and that just means that most of the Meeple ratings sat around the 6 or 7, because it's like, well, I've got to knock points off because the quality's not good, but the gameplay's really good.
Yeah.
All the games are ending up in that same spot.
Yeah, and it didn't, you know, I guess in our actual mind, it got to a point where it didn't really reflect how we were genuinely feeling about the game. Like, Arcana Rising, we'll use that as an example. We both really like that game. There's a lot of strategic thinking elements to it. And we play it quite regularly. Yet, it didn't get the best rating from us because it got absolutely hammered by us for its really lackluster production and poor quality.
Yeah.
And having talked to someone about that, they were kind of put off the game.
Yeah.
Like actually playing it.
Yeah. And
as opposed to put off buying it, they were put off playing it altogether.
And it's like, no. You should play it. Definitely. It's a good game. If it's on, like, if someone's got it out on the table and they offer you a spot, you should definitely play it. It's a good game.
Yeah.
I'm just not so sure you should part money for it.
Yes, exactly. So we had a little bit of a brainstorm, and I'm not saying that what we've come up with is perfect. And as everything with this podcast, everything is always going to evolve.
Yeah.
So,
and I think it is also important to say, as always, and it's the other reasons why we didn't like to call them reviews, is these are our opinions.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like reviews in any field, because my overriding piece of advice to everyone is always, you should try it.
Yeah. Go and form your own opinions.
Yeah, basically, it's like, I mean, you can get an idea from what I'm saying, but don't take it as gospel. Yeah. You might really like it. It's the same. It's the same with games. It's films. All that. Like, I never listen to movie critics.
No, exactly. You know, you just sort of, you know, it's more sort of if you find yourself that maybe you find that the games you like tends to be on our wavelength, you can probably assimilate that if we feel a game is a bit lackluster, that you may also feel that way. Same as you might love the games that we hate, which means, you know, if we say we love a game, the chances are you might hate it. Yeah. You know, or vice versa. So what are we going to be doing, James, to change things up so that we're happy and hopefully the listeners are happy?
I don't know. You've got the notepad.
Oh, yeah, I do. I haven't given it to you yet. So we've come up with a new format. We've come up with a new format for the show. So
you might be able to tell, dear listeners, that pre-planning has not been part of the restructure.
Exactly. And that will always be the same, no doubt. But yeah, so basically going forward, probably starting next week, to give you a hint that next week's episode is going to be a game highlight. We're going to do, as we normally do, we'll do our usual intro. We will come on, do our little bit of chat, and we'll talk about the game that we played this time last year. And then we'll move into the game highlight itself. And the idea of all of this is to highlight all of the good things that we like about the game, maybe a few bad things. We're not going to be teaching you how to play the game. We're not going to be, you know, giving it ratings or anything like that. So we'll break it down for you. We'll continue to do our intro to the game, which will give you your information on price that we found it for, the sort of backstory of the game, the blurb, if you like, what year it was released, the publishers, and all that kind of stuff that you currently get from us. Then we'll move on to what comes in the box, same as we always do. And then we're going to go straight into what I think is now one of the most important things when we're talking about a game, and that is to talk about the rulebook.
Yep.
So what are we going to talk about when it comes to the rulebook, James?
You just don't want to read that word, Jason.
That's
you made it up.
So true.
You made it up, and you're going to make me read it.
You're a clever man.
Okay, so when we're talking about the rulebook, we think the points that we should be highlighting about the rulebook is the general readability. Oh. That is a Jason special, that is.
Oh, yes.
Which is, I suppose it's a combination of the graphic design, is the text size. You know, sometimes you see a rule book and they've tried to squeeze so much information on the page that the text is tiny and you have to squint to read it.
The font as well.
Yeah, the font. So is it actually easy to follow? Is it smartly laid out where, you know, the illustrations are around the same point the text is talking about, so you could sort of flick from the text to, oh yeah, I see what they're getting at here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The structure of the rulebook.
Yes.
One of my pet hates with rulebooks, and we were discussing this before, is when yada, 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 see more on page X. Yep. Having you jump from page to page when you're trying to learn a game, and it's sort of like, we're talking about this, see more on this page.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to jump through the rulebook.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to understand the mechanic, it's like, I want it here.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And I think one other thing that's vitally important when we talk about the rule books is how easy is it to understand what it is, the information that it is trying to convey.
Yeah.
So, you know, rule books, we've said it before, they are vitally important when it comes to games and learning new games. So it's now taking pride of place at the start of our game highlight.
Yeah, it's like the sum up of the rulebook section is basically, is it well laid out, well structured and easy to follow, or is it an absolutely convoluted mess?
Yes, exactly. We'll then go on to talk about our favourite things, which tends to be the components, which will obviously be, as it currently is, we're going to be talking about the quality of those items, the storage that it comes with, which is something I've kind of added in as a permanent thing now, the manufacture, whether, you know, is it good? Is it bad? Is it, you know, worth the price? Standout pieces.
Yep.
Because I've found pretty much in every game we've done, there's always been that one or two pieces that really stand out in a game, whether it be for good or bad.
Yep.
Who knows? And basically pros and cons, I guess, when it comes to the components, you know, again, using Arcana Rising as an example. One of the things that we highlighted was the color difference between a value 1 resource and a value 5 being so small that you could barely see it.
Yep.
That, again, would be a con. A pro might be that they've highlighted that problem and made them a different color. You know, that kind of thing. So, again, these are kind of, I guess, review-esque, but we're there to highlight these things.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's in the title. After components, it's going to be what most people are going to be listening for, which is going to be the gameplay. We're going to talk about our likes, our dislikes, and a new one for the list, James.
Yep.
May not appear in every single episode, but if there's something that we've discussed that maybe we do feel could improve the game, we're going to add in a wish list.
Yep.
For the game. What do we wish that this game came with, or maybe not come with?
Yep. And it's also with rules. You know, we were discussing this with a particular game we've played over the Christmas period, which I won't spoil because hopefully there's an episode coming up on it very soon.
There is indeed.
There were quite a few, I wish this rule worked like this rather than the way it does.
Yes. Yeah. Take that as you will. We could be talking about potential house rules that we may or may not install. I guess I've kind of eased up a bit on house ruling, providing it makes logical sense and actually makes the game better for everyone.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to be talking about with gameplay. Again, we're not going to be running you through the whole game. We are literally going to give you what we like about the game, what we dislike about the game, along with a few contextual stories. I think the next one's really important, James.
Mm-hmm.
And you highlighted, actually, while we were chatting before, why I've added to this list. The next one is the average game time, because one of the things I do mention at the start of the episode is the listed playtime, game time. And what we want to talk about in this one is how true that is and actually work out our average game times. And another part to this section, James, will be once we've talked about the difference between the specified game time and our sort of average game time, and we play with various different groups. We're also going to talk about the setup time.
Yes.
Because one of the main questions that we get coming through to any of our social medias or if responses to posts is for those bigger games that you see lots of things on the table, we always get asked, oh God, how long did that take you to set up?
Yep.
So I'd actually quite like to cover that because I do think that is a very vital part. We may only have an hour to game and we see an hour on the box.
Yep.
But you're not taking into account how long it's going to take you to set that game up.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about setup times there. And then finally, this is where things are going to change very, very, I suppose, drastically to a degree. We've done away with the Meeple rating.
Yep.
So there's no more X amount out of 10s. And we're moving on to the new section, which is value and collection status. So what do we mean by value? Well, what do we mean by value, James?
What do we mean by value? Is it worth your money, in our opinion?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what value does it bring to the table? Which moves you on, I guess, into the collection status.
Yeah.
Because part of value of a game is the replayability. If it's not going to be staying in your collection, then maybe the replay value is not all that great. So collection status is, it's usually my games that we're reviewing. And once we've reviewed it, the question will be asked, is it going to stay in my collection? Or is it going to be in the next for sale pile? Or maybe the one after that?
Yeah.
Where do I feel it sits within my collection? Or yours, should you start getting more games? And the final one, James. At the moment, we're just calling it recommendations.
Yep.
And this is kind of the spiritual successor to the Meeple rating. How are we going to do the recommendations?
We're going to do it in two sections, aren't we? Like, as we've hinted at several times, it'll be, is the game worth your time? I.e., if you're at a game night and someone's offering you a spot at this game, do we think you should say yes?
Yes.
And the other section will be purchasing recommendation. Mm-hmm. Do we think you should part with money to get this game for your collection?
Yeah. Is it worth your hard-earned money?
Yeah.
And is it worth your time? I think they're two very, very valid and important questions.
Yep.
As you said, it's not always just going to be a yes or no answer.
Yep.
Because there are some games that if they are pretty average, is it worth your time? It's worth your time if there's nothing else going on.
Yep.
Or no, it's not worth your time at all. Against this is one of the best games I've played this year. You should 100% play this game.
Yeah, you should be actively looking for a spot at this game, not waiting for someone to offer you one.
Yep. And the value, the sort of, is it worth your money? Am I telling you that you should be doing as I did and running out and buying this game right now because it's going to be the new hotness, or maybe it is the hotness and we're basically telling you that has lived up to the hype. All of that kind of jazz and gubbins is all going to be covered under the recommendations. So that's it. That's how we're going to format the game highlight episodes going forward.
Unless Jason loses that notebook and we've lost all our notes and we decide to completely rejig it.
It is entirely possible. It is entirely possible. It might be time to get a laminator back out, laminate it and stick it on the notice board in the kitchen.
Jason, this is you we're talking about. You'll lose the notice board.
This is very true. I'll lose the house. That's entirely possible as well. But yeah, that's it. That's basically what we're going to be doing with the game highlight episodes. Is there, obviously, at this point, I guess we could ask you guys if there's anything in particular you would want to hear us talk about as part of a game highlight episode that we haven't mentioned. You've got the social medias. Yep. Message us. Let us know what it is. I'm not going to guarantee we'll do it because obviously we are going to try and keep these shows to between the 30 and 60 minute mark, which leads me on to the next part. And this is not a guaranteed thing. It's something we have been toying with, but I would like the listeners' opinions to actually help us make a final decision on that. And that is the potential of our news segment actually becoming its own show and releasing on a separate day to the current weekly schedule. So you would receive your normal weekly podcast that us two lovely people would be doing. And then later on in the week, you would then receive a separate news show, which would be done by our lovely newsman, Paul. So that kind of eases up the pressure on us to sort of cram what we can in a sort of a 40-minute, 30-minute segment so that Paul gets his decent amount for the news and we get a nice round hour. It allows us to, when we're covering bigger games, we can then talk for a bit longer. We might be able to go into a bit more information about the games, cover a few more things that we like and dislike. So that's what I'm toying with. I know I've bounced some ideas off of James on this one, but I'd like to know what you guys would think. Would you be interested in having just a news segment on this show, or would you be interested in that news segment becoming its own show and then giving Paul the chance to increase the time on that should he want to? Let us know on that as well. So social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Discord, all of those jazz, links to those in the podcast description. What's coming up in the next couple of weeks, James? What are we going to do? What are we going to talk about?
Oh, spoilers, Jason. Spoilers.
Do you know what? This is the kind of thing, if it will kind of give me a kick up the bum to actually get into the organisation side of things if I start making this a permanent thing.
And what if you commit?
If I commit to something, I mean, it's probably the worst idea in the world I could possibly have.
It's a terrible idea with two people who have such poor planning skills.
I mean, it's not necessarily like, I mean, we could commit to it. I guess it's not like treason if we then don't fulfill. But I mean, we can commit at least to the next 2 weeks.
We can,
because
we know what they're going to be, but what order are they going to be?
That's very true. So I'll give you one. I will give you one because I actually know roughly what's coming out the next 3 weeks. So next week, as we have said, is kind of the catalyst that we did this episode today, because next week is a game highlight episode that will be under that new format, and we are going to be talking about Heat, Pedal to the Metal. We've been playing this a lot.
We have.
Over Christmas, haven't we, James? As well as one of the other games that we're going to be reviewing. I did it. James, I called it a review. It's not a review.
It's not a review.
It's not a review. It's a game highlight.
Bad,
Jason. Naughty. See, I'm going to stumble on this a few times.
Yep.
But yeah, that's what's coming up next week. Hopefully we'll be back to a weekly schedule now, because I've missed doing this, but I've also enjoyed the little bit of a rest.
Indeed.
My voice is definitely...
We get a Christmas break, but you're back to your regularly scheduled weekly shows.
I mean, I was... Yeah, I probably would have said something else, but that wouldn't have been family friendly. But anything else you want to talk about, Jen? Any final thoughts about what we've talked about today, or anything you want to change? Should I just delete this recording and we start again?
It's a terrible idea. We've made a terrible mistake. No, we're committed now, Jason.
We are committed. Oh God, that's potentially 2 commitments in one night, James.
I know.
Oh, this is not good. One thing I will say, I'm going to start drinking more tea, because I've been drinking a lot of juice recently. It's not very normal when we're doing a podcast.
No.
But yeah. Right, anyway, we've been banging on for about half an hour. I think it's time to hand over to the man in the news shed for his first edition of the news.
Yep.
In 2023.
Let's do it.
Over to you, Paul.
Happy New Year! Right. We got that out of the way. I apologise if my voice is all out of whack, listeners. Had the dreaded lurgy over the festive period, and despite not having much of a voice during that time, it's taking its sweet time to return. Well, you've not been the best of help, have you? Okay, you did bring me my pills. Okay, you did mop my brow. I told you we don't mention the bed baths. Yeah, right. Well, enough of that nonsense. These people are eager to hear what we have for them from the world of boards, cards and dice. Back in May 2021, 2021, Z-Man Games printed a small quantity of Eric Goldberg's Tales of the Arabian Nights to keep the game available on the market, because a new edition was being held up due to creative differences late in the development process with another publisher. The article went on to say that Goldberg seemed to be suggesting that the next version of the game system would be based on the Arthurian legends, with that now being confirmed by the publisher WizKids, with Tales of the Arthurian Nights due out later this year. The new game is credited to designer Andrew Parks, better known for the game Core Worlds, or from one of his earliest published games, 2004's Camelot Legend from Z-Man Games. In Tales of the Arthurian Nights, you are a hero or heroine in a story of adventure and awe. You and your fellows will travel the land at the behest of the renowned King Arthur. Through a series of quests, you'll make impactful choices that will steer the course of your journey. Secure your place in history by achieving glorious feats, lest your efforts be doomed to obscurity. So gather your band of knights around the table to enjoy your own epic tale as it unfolds. Building on the mechanisms from Tales of the Arabian Nights, you now find yourself in the Age of Chivalry alongside Lancelot, Merlin and many other characters from Arthurian lore. Quests will lead to glorious battles, daring rescues and the discovery of such marvels as the Holy Grail. Choose your actions carefully and you'll be rewarded with skills, renown and nobility, but choose poorly and be scorned, cursed or made a pariah. Bring the age of King Arthur to life in this incredibly replayable board game with a plethora of tales that are sure to challenge, amuse, surprise and entertain. After a great year full of new releases and reprints of great collections, Konami has recently decided to release some details on the celebrations they are planning for the 25th anniversary of Yu-Gi-Oh! The card game. It may not come immediately to mind even to the oldest fans of the game, but the very first product of this game was launched in February 1999, making Yu-Gi-Oh! The second longest running trading card game. For the almost 10 million players registered as per 2022, the 25th anniversary of the game will be a massive milestone, and Konami Digital Entertainment Company Limited has announced that the run-up to the major celebrations on the 4th of February 2024 will indeed start this February. As part of the anniversary project, Konami will launch various new Yu-Gi-Oh! Products and digital titles in a very well planned strategy. The 250th Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship Series will also be taking place in April 2023. The very first Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game product that has been announced is the Legendary Collection 25th Anniversary Edition, set to be released on the 4th of April 2023. The core of this collection will be the reprint of 6 among the most revered booster packs and cards from the earliest days of the game. There will be in fact 1 booster pack from each Legend of the Blue Eyes White Dragon, Metal Raiders, Spell Ruler, Pharaoh's Servant, Dark Crisis and Invasion of Chaos. The box will also include 6 ultra rare cards: Obelisk the Tormentor, Slifer the Sky Dragon, the Winged Dragon of Ra, Blue Eyes White Dragon, Dark Magician and Red Eyes Black Dragon. In addition, the 25th Anniversary Edition will also include a bonus 7th card. The 7th card will be a variant of one of the other 6, in a brand new rarity type created just for the 25th Anniversary celebrations, the Quarter Century Secret Rare. March 2023 sees the release of Chaos in Gotham City, a trick-taking game for 2 to 6 players, and as in several other Batman-based games, you take on the role of a villain and you certainly want to steer clear of Batman more than the other bad guys. You play as many rounds as the number of players. Each round deal players 6 to 10 cards depending on the player count. The deck consists of 40 cards in 4 suits, numbered 1 to 10. With some cards depicting either Batman or Bruce Wayne. At the start of each trick, reveal one of the 15 location cards. The winner of the trick claims this card. Reveal the top card of the undealt deck to determine trump. Each player receives one of 8 villain cards, each with their own special power. First player in a round leads a card, and all players must follow suit, if possible. Whoever played the highest trump wins the trick and collects the location and played cards. If no one played trump, whoever played the highest card in the suit led wins. The winner leads to the next trick. After all tricks have been played, players sum the Batman points on the cards and locations they collected. Whoever has the most Batman points, or is tied for the most, doesn't score the Chaos points they collected that round. Shuffle all cards up for the start of the next round, and whoever has the most Chaos points after the 2 to 6 rounds indeed wins. Synapsis Games has announced release of a tile-laying game entitled Pyramid O from designer Iquan Kwan for 2 to 4 players, and this will be constructing a pyramid made from dominoes. The great Pharaoh Mino has passed. The rule passes to his eldest son, Pharaoh Mido. Displeased with the plain appearance of the pyramid in which his father was buried, Mido turns his attention to his own legacy. He wishes for his own resting place to better reflect his majesty, and has decreed that 2 to 4 architects build pyramids encrusted with jewels, a pyramido. The architect who builds the most impressive pyramido will be appointed vizier and enjoy wealth and power beyond imagination. In each stage of the game, the pyramid creates connections between them. Players take turns choosing from the available dominoes to create their pyramid. To maximise their points, players must match the jewel icons on the dominoes and place their markers of the same colours to activate the scoring areas. Each choice of domino and its positioning has a significant impact since the previous stages influence the score throughout the game. Sticking with the tile laying, from Parks designer Harry Audubon and being published by Pika Games, comes the 1 to 4 player game Flow. Flow will take you on a heroic journey across the Iceberg Sea, where you'll be choosing your path carefully in order to leave your mark on the realm. The choice is yours. In Flow there are many ways to be a hero. In more detail, on each turn you take actions by drawing tiles from a shared bag, or by returning previously drawn tiles to the bag. These actions allow you to activate your hero, sail your boat, add new regions to the map, and draw cards into your hand. Flow features a unique region-to-region movement system that allows heroes and sailboats to navigate the realm with ease. Only the natural shapes of the ice and seas are used to determine movement, so you never need to count squares on a grid. You can build an engine by leveling up your character, upgrading your signature weapon, constructing new buildings, and acquiring powerful magic items. The first player to place all their flow sigils by completing heroic challenges wins. And I'll go on, maybe one more tile laying game heading for an FLGS store near you soon, but this time from the Thunderworks team, which certainly plays into their aesthetics of what we come to know from them, with the likes of Cartographers, Role Player and Lockup. Goblin Vaults is for 1 to 5 players, designed by Keith Macheka and Eric Schlutman, and set for release on February 28th. In the dark corners of Callback Prison, away from the prying eyes of the Construct guards, inmates play a game of Goblin Vaults in secret. Goblin Vaults is a strategy card game for 1 to 5 players, featuring bidding, card placement and scoring patterns. In the game you wager cards to win loot from the central cell block, then stash that loot wisely in your vault, earning gears based on the position of cards within that vault. You also gain gears from scoring objectives that change with each game. With cunning and clever scheming, make your bid to be the most feared amongst your peers. You'll need wits and luck to play your cards right as you fill your vault and influence the warden in your favour. After 9 rounds, whoever has the most gears wins. Next up is Federation, a worker placement game with a healthy dose of player interaction and sci-fi politics from designers Dimitri Perrier and Matteo Verdier, and being published by French publisher Explore 8. In Federation, 2 to 4 players complete to earn the most prestige to prove they are the best delegate to join the Federation. Federation, out now, plays in about 60 to 120 minutes and features a large game board with vibrant, colourful artwork from Miguel Combray, which is paired nicely with Alexis Van Meer Beek's excellent graphic design, making it language independent. The universe is organised into many federations with trade, intrigue and development. One of these federations, still not fully developed yet, 5 members so far, wants a new delegation to join them, but you're not the only one having your sights set on the Federation. The Federation challenges you to prove your worth over 5 years, so during those 5 years you must develop strategies, deploy tactics, take the best opportunities but also form the right alliances at the right time. In the end, remember, only one delegation will be chosen, and the one with the most prestige is it? Played over 5 rounds, with each round divided into 2 main steps. The first step in a player's turn sees each player playing an ambassador pawn and sending a spaceship on a special mission. Once all players have completed their turn, the executive phase starts, where players receive their income, fund major projects, and pass laws. At the end of the 5th round, the game ends, and the player with the most prestige points wins the game and joins the Federation. In case of a tie, the victory is shared. Out early this year from German publisher Schmidt Spiel is a fairly hefty title in the form of New Eden, from designer Benjamin Schwer, who previously designed Hadara and Crown for Emara. It's the year 2442 and Earth is facing complete destruction. When is it ever not? The sea level is irrevocably rising, and the vast depths of the ocean now lie above the former land areas. Sounds similar, seeing as we've had a lot of rain lately? Anyway, I digress. Inspired by Jules Verne's visions and equipped with the latest technology, a deep-sea city, New Eden, is being built, with the main dome standing on a white smoker, a spring at the bottom of the sea from which hot water flows at up to 300 degrees C. The current forms a basic supply for the inhabitants, represented by in-game coins, and from there the station is constantly being expanded and enlarged with useful modules from the last mega factories on the coast of Mount Everest, or from the black market, in order to receive further resources, points and lucrative advantages. Many of those well-intentioned actions can actually damage New Eden, however. Will the station withstand this damage, or will it collapse in on itself? Only those who keep an eye on the balance between progress and destruction can collect points in the final scoring. Whoever has built the most points, and thus the safest and most livable station, wins. Played over just 3 rounds, if your level of damage exceeds the meter on your board, after that you score no endgame points, keeping only those points you've scored during the game. Whoever has the highest score wins. And over to crowdfunding, and I'm sorry, but there's no crowdfunding this week, as after the holiday period I believed us all to be a little cash-strapped, and to be honest, by the time I'd scrolled through the endless pages of D&D 5th edition based RPG mods, fancy dice, STL files, there really wasn't much to report on, or worth your hard-earned cash. Although, over on GameFound at the moment are indeed preview pages. One game I mentioned on our last episode whilst in the studio with the guys was Andromeda. Andromeda has its holding page over there at the moment, with a little competition to add exclusive bits to your pledge if you can solve the problems. As well as that, the board game for Street Fighter V Championship also has its holding page open to look at for its project going live next month. So head on over and take a peek. Plenty of plastic in there of your fave characters like Chun-Li, Ryu, Ken, and everyone's favourite, Yoga Flame, Dalsim. Well, Brian, I think that's all from us this week. I'm going to head back to bed and try and get this voice back. It was more of a splurge of new game releases, but here's hoping that we're just getting geared up for the rest of the year ahead once everyone's recovered from the festive merriments. Okay. Right, say goodbye to everyone, and you can go and make me a hot water bottle. And it's a good night from me, folks. Keep safe, meeples. Keep those dice rolling, the cards shuffling, and we'll be right here for you next week.
Thank you very much there, Paul. And thank you guys for joining us for our very first episode of 2023. How do you think it went, James? It was very, very different.
Yeah, very different. But I think it went well, considering we've been off for a couple of weeks and completely forgot how to do this.
Yeah, and we only actually agreed to record about, 4 hours ago?
Yep.
Something like that. That's pretty good.
Yep.
Pretty good indeed.
Agreed to record 4 hours ago, did the notes about,
About an hour ago, maybe.
Yeah. Just before we started, here at the Meeple Minded podcast, we like to wing it.
Yeah, exactly. I think we do our best work when we wing it. Yep. Although, in all fairness, you could say this is actually the most well-prepared podcast because we have genuinely been talking about this for about a month and a half.
Yep.
So
I never thought you'd actually do it. I thought we were just spitballing ideas.
Just think where we go through with all those other plans that I've been talking about. I mean, granted, it sounds a bit more like Pinky in the Brain when we're talking about it. So,
well, that is my ringtone for when you text me.
I think we should say goodbye because I know I've been teasing you with that lovely T-Rex miniature sitting there. And I mean,
I'm not playing it if Ian Malcolm's not the main character. I mean, it's just sacrilege.
I think we do. I think it's your duty to play this game, James. I will let you be the T-Rex.
I want to be the T-Rex.
Then be the Ian Malcolm and Dr. Sattler then. Do whatever you want. Anyway, let's go and play some more games. I need to add number 9 to the list on day 5. Keep ahead of that thing, and we'll get you to download that app as well.
Yes.
So, till next week, thank you for coming back. But until then, my name has been Jason.
And I've been James.
And you've been listening to the Meeple Minded podcast. Join us next week for more tabletop gaming goodness. Ta-ta and goodbye.